Aloha, this is Hope Johnson with Wisdom Dialogues. This time coming to you from Bullhead City, Arizona, where I'm visiting my family. I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, if you have any questions for me, please raise your hand. There's a panel over to the right. You could just raise your hand to ask a question, or you can type in a question if you don't particularly want to join me live. Yeah, either way, it's super fun to hear from you, or if you just want to hang out, that's cool too. So I don't see any questions coming in yet. I don't see any hands being raised. So the first question I have is an email here, and this is a really fun question. Let me get to the top of it. Let's see. Back to the issue of victimization and children. I really like your answer on how I'm projecting my feeling of not being good enough onto my children. But now I seem to be really stuck there. Recently, I felt thrown back to the depths of anger and despair. The scenario that seems to be playing out is that I go through cycles with my children. They are 20 and almost 22 years old. Both have dropped out of universities, left home, and then came back. The 22-year-old is currently working, but his current job isn't a path toward independence. Okay, there's a judgment. He intended to move out about a year ago, but the plan failed, and now he apparently has no other plan. He spends most of his free time playing on the computer. The other one is taking a break from school and work. He promised he would move out, get a job, and go to school again in the summer, but he made no step toward it, and he's running out of time. Another judgment, he's running out of time. I go through cycles of exploding and demanding that they make changes, threaten that I will make them move out, although I'm not sure how I would do that, and then backtracking. I get depleted by my own emotional outbreak, lulled into a sense of security and hope that something would change on its own peacefully, but it doesn't. I also get into feeling sorry for the kids and guilty about not doing enough to help them become independent. I get fed up and explode again. It goes on in cycles, and my fear of my grown children living with me, forcing me to support them, is becoming a reality. Yeah, that's how it works, Now the fear is compounded by the fact that I am planning to bring my parents from another country and move in with me. I'm terrified that I will be forced to support 4 other people who will live in my space on top of that. I feel like I will never have any freedom to live out anything else I'd like to live out. I feel like I could deal with my parents if only my children start standing on their own feet and become interested in building independent lives on their own. I'm tired, depleted, and desperate, and I really want my freedom to not support my adult children. Where is my mistake? What's my illusion here, and where's the way out? Okay, so always the way out is through, and it's always addressing our own sensations in our bodies, okay? I talked about that a lot before. And what's happening here is it looks like this person is trying to use a spiritual means to make some kind of outcome happen. A spiritual means to get the outcome that she wants, and that never works out. It absolutely never works out. And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what's happening on the surface, because for one, there's no way we can even support ourselves. That's not the way it works. All support that we experience is coming from our source. It's all just an interpretation of energy, okay? So when we're projecting an energy like we're afraid of something, we're actually drawing it toward us. So if the whole time when the kids are being raised, there's this fear of them not being independent, it's going to make it really hard for them to become independent, even if they really want to, because that's their mom projecting their own fear onto them. And let me tell you something. Whenever we think we want anything, and it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how good the intention is, the ego always has an ulterior motive. The ego is always working under the surface in the subconscious mind for the opposite. So that makes it really, really hard consciously to get anything that we think we want in the first place. Okay, so when it comes to, and I see the person who asked this question is on here. I didn't mention your name. I wasn't sure if you wanted that, but if you'd like to speak with me, please go ahead and raise your hand, and I'd be happy to dialogue with you on this one. So I was reading up here about how there's not enough time. Okay, like I said, that's a judgment. So whenever a judgment arises, like the idea that there's not enough time, time is a complete illusion. There's no such thing as it. Okay, so there's a real tension, a tense feeling that arises in the body when we feel that there's not enough time. And so if we're willing to pay attention to that sensation in the body, then it can be cleared, it can be purified. And when it's purified, it's not so much that the kids do what we want them to do, it's that we really don't mind. Even if it does seem like we're supporting everyone on the planet, because that's only a seeming reality and it's not really true. Okay? And here's the thing too. When we're calm, we can be open to possibilities that we wouldn't otherwise be open to. So who knows? There might be some kind of information that you might be able to pass along, or you might just notice, oh, I don't really have to do this anymore. I'm going to go do something else now. But while we're caught up in trying to get the outcome that we think we want, we're kind of running around in circles. And the other thing is, now she mentioned that there's a blowing up. There's these emotional breakdowns where there's blowing up and feeling really out of control. I know that feeling because I've experienced it myself many times. And, you know, that will happen just as much as it needs to happen until it's seen through. And that's one reason why everything is a blessing. So anytime it happened, you know, in my own experience, even after I recognized what was going on, I noticed myself still blowing up. And what there was there was just a real intention to be aware of what's going on, to really look at what's going on in my body, not on the surface. Okay, so it's not looking for results on the surface, never, because it's our energy sensation, it's our energy field that shifts, and that's what really helps everyone else to live out their creative dreams as well. Okay. I see Julia. I came in next. Not sure what the answer is to. I'm not sure what you mean, Julia, but if you want to speak with me, raise your hand. Or if you don't know how to raise your hand, just write that you'd like to speak with me and I'll get you on there. Aloha, Lori. So let's see, what else? What other kind of juicy stuff do we have in here? Okay, his current job isn't a path toward independence. Okay, so I like that you brought up dependence here, because it's almost like you're dependent on a particular outcome, and that's why it feels so out of control. Because it's like that out of control feeling where there's blowing up and lashing out and threatening and stuff like that. That's just a feeling like you can't control it, and you know that's true. And what's also true is who would want to, because whatever is presented for purifying the mind. Whatever kind of emotions are presented, whatever kind of feelings are presented, they're actually for that. So we don't want to push them away. We don't want to change them. We don't want to make them not happen. We'd like to be completely aware of what's going on in our bodies and just recognize that this is an emotional pattern playing out, and the names and the faces don't matter. The names and the faces don't matter. Your sons are not your sons. Okay, that's not actually the truth. That's a story that's made up. That's a role people are playing. They're actually you. They're actually you presenting what's going on in the subconscious mind. And you can tell the vibration of that by the sensation in the body. So if you'd like to dialogue with me more on this, let me know. There's your hand. Lovely. Aloha, Yulia.
Aloha, Hope. I'm really sorry I came in a few minutes late, and I believe you began with my question, so I missed the most important part of it, I guess. But
oh, no worries at all.
Yeah, so I understood that, again, it's not about looking for a specific result, not for a specific outcome. Again, it's more about, you know, the patterns that are playing out, which is something I know in the background, but I tend to go back, let's say, into the play of life and play it again.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's going to keep coming up. So here's what I recommend, and here's how it happened to me. Anytime any kind of twinge of discomfort came up or anything like that, it would just be addressed right there before it turned into something really big. Because when it turns into something really big and it makes you threaten and stuff like that, that's a bunch of thoughts that have just gone unrecognized. They were just playing in the background and you didn't see them. Maybe you saw them, but you just believed them. And you felt a little bit of discomfort, but you kind of pushed it aside. And what happened is that grew and grew, and it was almost like a volcano that just exploded, and then you lashed out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. You see, it's like there's the matter of lashing out, which happens occasionally, but there's also the matter of this just not going away. And there's another thing that comes up. I have resolved a lot of things in my life by action. And some I understand that's also an illusion, but let's say it's a pattern that comes easy to me. Usually I act and I get things done, and when I see a path for me to act, it's much easier.
Okay.
Here, I don't see a clear path to act, so that's I guess one of the worst things for me, because it doesn't all depend on me and my action. And
that's it. Yes.
If it's not my children, if it's anybody else, I can tell them move out, and they'll move out. I can go to court, whatever. I can take action and I can see result. With them, when I tell them move out in 2 months, I am not entirely sure that if they don't move out in 2 months, I'm going to literally be able to put them out in the street.
Right.
Able to, but I'm just not confident.
Yeah, and I definitely know what you mean. I have lots of experience feeling trapped by my children. Okay, I have all my children actually living at home right now. One's 24, one's 15, and one's 9. And it's not a problem. There's no problem with it. There's no feeling like I'm trapped by my kids being there or whatever they happen to be doing.
Can I say something else, though?
What's that?
Can I say something else, though?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously, again, all part of that pattern, but what also kills me is that my kids spend pretty much all of their time, free time, and one of them has nothing but free time, vast majority of free time just entertaining themselves, playing the computer, watching video games, and it is really scary because they're in their 20s. I don't want to be in the scenario where they're 40 and they're doing that, and there's just no change, and it has been like that for years. I mean, I could bring up other things, the dropping out of universities, dropping this, dropping that, dropping out of this and that, and everything because nobody wants to do anything.
Yeah, that's because you want it so bad.
Don't get things done. No initiative. Same thing around the house. I ask to do this, I ask to do that. Ultimately, they'll do them, but you have to ask. Nobody treats anything here like it's theirs. Am I not entitled to action? I think I am, But yeah. Anyway, I got carried away again.
Sure. It's just that everything that occurs is occurring through the subconscious mind, and it's nothing is really happening. It's only in the perception. So it's been this buildup of not wanting. Not wanting is totally calling something into your experience. So it makes it really hard for your kids to have any other kind of creative outlet because subconsciously they're busy rebelling against you. Okay? And not even knowing that they're likely sabotaging their own happiness just to be rebellious. And it's a real subconscious play that's going on. I have a son who's 15 now, but he was really into video games a couple of years ago, and it was like a 24/7 thing. It was all the time, And I noticed that when I would see him, even though I didn't want to be judgmental, I felt really judgmental. So I would notice the feeling inside of my body, and I would go sit in my room and be with that feeling, and totally not hoping that he would get off the computer. The only thing that I'm doing is in that room is is basically asking for vision to see through these patterns that are mine, all mine, not anything that has to do with anything else. They're not personal. They're not anything that happens to do with anyone else. And you know, my son wasn't super happy playing video games. It wasn't like making his heart sing. That was obvious. And you know, when I just kept on purifying that energy in my own body, in my own energy field, first thing I noticed is that he started having more fun playing video games, and he was less irritable when he would get off the computer. And then soon after that, he goes, "Mom, all I know how to do is be a gamer. I want to do something else. What else can I do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm sure it'll come to you." You know, I was just like not concerned about it, you know. And eventually he just found he found his way, and to not his way of what I want him to do, but what makes him really, really happy, you know. And he decided to go to school, because I didn't make my kids go to school either. And he decided to go to school and take up some sports. So now he's in school and doing sports, you know. But that's because that makes him happy. That's not because it makes his mom happy. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I know. On the other hand, they keep telling them, go do what you want to do, what you like to do. I never, like, you know, forced them into doing anything particular, but I did tell them they needed to do something, of course.
Yeah, so whenever
their choice, but there's like also my older one keeps claiming he can't choose anything, he can't decide, he doesn't know.
Yeah. So
and
you know,
I have this thing, you know, where I can think like, I just don't want this in my space. I don't want this near me. That's all. I don't want it near me.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that it is near you. So that's basically not wanting what is. And see, you'd be able to much more easily see a different route, a different path to take when you're in acceptance of it. But saying I don't want it near me is causing it to continue. You know, it's important to understand cause and effect. What's true cause and effect? When we're pushing on what is, we're asking for more of it. That's cause and effect. You know, you telling your son that he needs to do something, that's not helping anything. That's only surface stuff. And that's only playing out.
I totally feel like it's true, but there's a part of me that's protesting. It's going like, well, I can plan and I can act, you know. Not that it's done that successfully with the children. It hasn't done that with the children, you know. But it's saying that, like, well, I can still do this. And I know this person, and they told their children to move out, and they did it, you know. I wish I could do it like them.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to that, I can't even talk like that person because they're a different person, you know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if my kid was 22 or 24 or whatever, and they came and they said, I don't know what I can do, I'd probably just tell them, oh, that's okay, baby, it'll come to you. I wouldn't be nervous about it. You know, that's the thing. If we're nervous and worried about it, we hold them where they are. It makes it really hard for them to break free, actually.
What about giving them deadlines and telling them that I can't do this anymore?
Well, that's one thing if you're not willing to do it anymore. You know, I've had situations where I've told my kids, well, I'm not willing to do that, and it's not like a thing where there's any kind of stress about that. I'm not willing to do that. If you'd like me to do that, here's what I need in order to do that, and that's all. But it's not anything. It's not. Go ahead.
They want to get into a dialogue with me about how they can't decide, how it's difficult, how they need this or need that, or how I am, you know, a problem. And I don't want to dialogue about anything anymore. I don't want to get dragged into it. I don't want to criticize them. I don't want to tell them what to do. I just want out of that, you know?
Yeah. So that's all more of that I want out in the energy field. And I'm telling you, this is a pattern that started in your childhood. These, and I know that because it's like all these patterns that we keep on repeating, they start in our childhood. There's an I want out of it, and it gets projected outward for the rest of our lives until it's purified. that I want out of this is a mind pattern. It has nothing to do with your kids, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because anything, even something like this, can be really fun. It could be really fun to play with. Yeah. I'm not kidding. Anything. Really, I mean, I have a family. I have these kinds of situations come up, and you know what I noticed was things that used to be devastating, where I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to leave the country and stuff like that. And now anything that comes up is just so much fun to play with.
Oh yeah, I have these thoughts like I'm gonna run away. Plus I travel.
Yeah.
I travel all the time, and my kids
Yeah.
they don't even see me for months, and they
Uh-huh.
don't even wonder if I'm coming back. And I go like, well, I guess if I like disappear and don't come back and stop paying bills, and somebody comes to evict them, then they realize that somebody's missing, or and then maybe they need to do something. So I tell them things like that someday, that I'm just not gonna come back.
Yeah, if you're willing to see that it's all your own projection, that kind of like blows the mind, you know. And you know, for me, one really effective little prayer that comes up, like any little thing, any little tiny sense of discomfort, whatever it might be. Say say I'm feeling nauseous on the plane. Let's say something like that. And then a little prayer might just happen that says, please help me to forgive myself for using this nausea to attack myself, basically. Because it's like whatever it is in our experience, it's making us feel like something's wrong. We're subconsciously using it to attack ourselves. We're using it to try to attack our spirit, which can't be attacked. But what happens is the mind gets really diluted and starts projecting a bunch of uncomfortable situations, people, things, you know, body sensations.
Yeah, now I just felt so sorry for myself. Like, oh, they have to deal with all of this all alone, and nobody knows and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It really needs to be checked, and especially when the feeling is only a slight discomfort before it gets that major.
Yeah, I guess there's like so many other things that are starting to converge all of a sudden, making me feel that.
Yeah, and then watch when you do experience yourself lashing out, that after the fact too, you don't go along with any thoughts that beat yourself up for it, because it's all a learning process.
Yeah, no, fortunately I don't. I just feel really tired and sleepy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Well, it'll be all right. You got your eye on it, okay? You got your eye on it. So the more it happens, the closer you get. The closer you get to having your energy purified of it.
I need more wisdom dialogues.
Yeah, well, you get to come every week, and then they're also recorded. So there you go.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It is really helpful to keep on hearing this way of looking at the world, because the way we've been conditioned keeps on coming back really strongly. So it takes a lot of practice, and also a willingness for the whole mind view to get turned around. But it does get completely turned around, and then you get to the point, and I speak from experience, where you can't take things like that as if you're a victim of anything. Okay.
I suspect that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's been like all of a sudden, like, came up really, really big in many, many ways.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, I'm all alone and nothing helps except this. But yeah.
Well, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Yulia. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate you so much. Please raise your hand again if anything comes up. Okay.
Thank you very much too.
Okay. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. So I have an opening now. If anyone has questions, raise your hand. Otherwise, I have some more questions written over here. I'll go to them right now. Raise your hand or write it. You can write it too. Okay, bear with me. Oh, here we go. I'm on my aunt's computer, not used to this. Pretty funny. Plus, I just had a margarita. Okay. Yay, Phoebe's here. Aloha, Phoebe. Oh, this is a really, oh, is anyone in here? No one's in here. Mom, if you're listening, if you can bring me some more water, that would be awesome. I'm pretty thirsty. My mom's out there. Okay. First question. Where do we go after we die? I love this question. This is a really fun question because, you know, there's no such thing as death, okay? That's not a reality. That's an illusion that's been made up, and that's, thank you, Mom. And that's really the stronghold of the ego, this idea that we live and then die. You know, that's so far from the truth. In fact, this life in the material world is really an illusion, just the same as the death realm is an illusion. It's kind of like a recycling program. No one goes anywhere. No one goes anywhere. There's just an illusion of living, and then there's an illusion of the afterlife. Okay, and the thing is that both of them lead to each other. Birth leads to death, which leads to birth, which leads to death, which leads to birth. It's an endless cycle until it's seen through. So basically, the only way out of this birth, death cycle is to see the truth. It has nothing to do with the body's death. The death of the body is not death of the ego. That's not how the ego dies. The ego doesn't die by physical death. All that happens is a new illusion is formed. So maybe we've worked up these beliefs our whole life that heaven is just this glorious place, and we see Jesus and angels and all this other stuff. And then it's back. And then it goes back into a body again. That's basically like a recycling program. Okay? It's going to keep on. It can go on like that forever and forever and forever. Although that's not going to happen because the suffering gets to be too much, where people start to go, okay, wait a second, what's really going on here? Because I can tell nothing is working. Nothing's working this way. A lot of what prevents us from waking up is the idea that we're going to die, and even this draw toward death, this attraction toward death. Okay, so what happens is subconsciously, and I noticed this in my own experience too, there's this, oh, everything will be okay once I'm dead. Once I'm dead, then I can rest. And the thing is, we can't die, but this idea that we can die and all of our troubles will go away when we die is one thing that really keeps us from looking within. Okay. Now the only way out is through a body. The only way out of this is through a body. Okay. It doesn't happen in the death realm. It only happens in the apparent living realm or the material realm. Okay, like that. So this is the opportunity right now. If you've got ears and you can hear this, and you have eyes right now, then now's the time. Now's the time to keep looking at what's really true and notice these kinds of patterns that are coming up, and especially this death one, because that's at the, you know, that's really at the root of everything, is that we're going to die, and it's so not true. And it isn't over at that point. It's just recycling. It's just recycling illusions, okay? So I see Lori has her hand up. That's so fun. Hello,
Hi there. Hi-ho. Okay. Hi. I loved the video of you guys with your mom. That is so precious. She was
sweet?
completely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
Can you tell she was surprised?
Yeah, I mean, and to coordinate all 6 of you at once to be able to, wow.
Oh my God, it was so easy. All I did was send a Facebook message to all my brothers and sisters. We agreed on a date, and then I made a plane ticket, and I just didn't post anything about me going to Vegas or anything.
Okay. So are they already in Vegas? You're the only one in Hawaii?
No, I'm in, oh yeah, I'm the only one in Hawaii. Everyone else lives in California and Nevada.
Oh, so they're not that far. Okay, you're the
So they
furthest.
can
Okay,
drive over.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this whole, I was talking with Phoebe today and another girl. We're talking about this, how you answer the questions and it's not really coming from you. But there's, okay, before you, uh, the eye collapsed. Does that seem,
Sure, we could use that. That's
okay,
cool.
okay. Um,
Okay.
as it was, I don't know if it's getting closer or what, there seems to be a quickening. I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that true? You,
Yeah, that's something that could be experienced for sure. Yes.
okay. There seems to be this, that's the only word I can, but then of course the mind comes in and says, "Oh, that's bullshit. There's no quick that it's like it hasn't happened. There's nothing going to happen."
So funny.
So I guess I'm looking for validation that something's going.
Well, just don't let the mind discourage you. See,
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
you're just all that's happening is you know it's like you're easy target because the mind it throws stuff out there, and I mean the ego mind throws stuff out there to discourage you, and you bite.
Yes.
That's the thing. You start looking for answers.
Right. Right.
You start looking for the opposite answer and how to like rebut that. And here's the thing: it's nothing. It doesn't need a rebuttal. And when you think it's a problem that it's saying that to you, and you think that it needs a rebuttal, then you're making it real. You can't you can't transcend any kind of illusion by first making it real. If you're going to make that real first, what's being said, and that's really what's going on. If you're looking for some kind of validation that, oh, that's not true, you yourself have to see that that's just mental chatter and it's meaningless. When you
Yes.
see that it's meaningless, then it has no effect on you. But you're making it meaningful by looking for answers to it.
Ooh,
See?
boy. Yes, I do see because that body issue is still here, and I do see that I'm looking for answers. I heard Adia Shanti say something about the body and just eat a bunch of Twinkies and see what happens or something. And then I've got you saying nothing in the world affects the body, and I'm like, I've got a lot of questions going on inside, validating, keeping that body so real, and ah,
Yeah, trying to make the body real, exactly.
right, yeah,
Well, it's like it's like if you believe, if you're see only belief can make a Twinkie affect your body. Only
right,
belief can make a Twinkie affect your body. But still, at the same time, this is the subconscious mind with these beliefs. Okay. So you can't just say, okay, I don't believe a Twinkie is going to do anything. But then the subconscious mind is so programmed that it is going to.
and
Right?
it's really, really seeming true because I've in the past there has been exercising, eating less, and losing weight.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's cemented. I
Yeah,
don't.
it's really, yeah, and then so that just gets worked on in every single instance. And for me, when it comes to working out or whatever I eat, I just wait for inspiration. It's not like working off of concepts or anything like that. I'll just kind of like check in. I'll always just be checking in with the source, and that's all. I mean, there are plenty of people that You can see who eat a bunch of junk food and are also skinny. And you can see a bunch of people who barely eat anything and are really fat. So, you know, it's all programming. And, you know, some people are super frustrated because they're like, I feel like I'm doing everything right and nothing's happening for my body too.
Right.
So it's just this attraction to the body, and there's all this caring about what is it going to do, you know. I also know plenty of people who have pretty big bodies and they just don't mind and they're super happy. You know, it's not like it's an issue. The thing is, when we make an issue about anything, then we go around trying to get what we want for ourselves, and we're disconnected from our spirit for the most part when we're trying to do that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I see that, yeah.
So it's just like the same thing, like if you go into the ocean and the water's really rough, you're going to probably experience getting knocked down, and if you're a really bad swimmer, you might even drown too. You might have that kind of an experience. That's still the mind. It's still the mind. Still, only on the surface, it looks like the waves caused the death, right? But it's really a play of the subconscious mind. The waves did not kill the person. The subconscious mind killed the person. The subconscious mind does all killing. There's nothing in the world that actually kills or harms or anything like that. It's all neutral. The subconscious mind does all of it. The subconscious mind plays it out. So if we think we're a victim of anything, then that's going to keep on being projected into our experience more and more, and we're going to look like more and more of a victim. Okay?
Right, and I know, I mean, there are no victims.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, how can we be a victim of food then, or anything else?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I never realized I was being a victim of food. Ah, that's cool.
And the funny thing is when you're not a victim of food too, and when you're not in victimhood, you don't have all these food cravings. A lot of these food cravings are just looking to stuff guilt. So you're not going for, and it's not a struggle. It's not a battle, you know, like they say, battle of the bulge and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way we're trained to fight against the things we don't like.
Right.
And try to fix things. I think we talked about that before, you know, that the ego will say something's wrong and you really need to fix this.
Right.
And that goes on and on and on. It never stops. There's always seems to be something wrong that needs to be fixed.
Yep. Fixing. That's what it does. Yep.
Yeah.
Fix, yeah.
It keeps the ego alive.
Yes.
Yeah, ultimately it would like to kill your body.
And
let's make it skinny so we can kill it.
wow, so we can kill
it. Yeah, that's the ultimate.
But the body is here to heal the mind.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Through it, we can purify the mind.
Right, through it.
And then you know, it becomes way more comfortable to experience ourselves in a body, which, as I said before, we're not actually in a body. You know, that's not the truth. We're not in a body. A body is being projected, and through sensation, it seems like we're in it.
Right, through sensation. I totally, yeah.
Yeah,
seems
total
like
sensation.
Because we're identified. Sensation. Right, we're identified with those sensations.
Yes.
We think they're me. Yeah.
Yeah. And even that, you know, oh my God, I need to lose weight and all that stuff. That's all still part of the fear of death. That's also part of the fear of death. There's all this like trying to protect the body. And you know, for me, in my case, if a thought like that comes up where there's this want to work out or want to lose weight or anything like that, it's just allowed to be, and it's okay. It's not a problem. There's no problem made out of it. Okay. And then I noticed that if there's not a problem, generally there's there's just you know, not as much eating, maybe eating healthier stuff sometimes not, you know, and more exercise naturally, just like maybe walking, or maybe I go for a swim, or who knows, you know, who knows what might happen.
Right. I gotcha.
I might even start doing yoga every day again. Who knows? Haven't been lately, but that might happen.
Yeah, I do miss doing yoga, but I haven't done that either.
Feels good, but you got to be inspired, man.
Right, exactly. You got to be inspired to do it. And then it's effortless instead of being, yeah.
Yeah, and we can also be effortless without doing any exercise. Hold on just a sec. I gotta take this shirt off because I'm hot. All right. Thank you for bearing with me.
Oh my God, no big deal. Wow, is it that warm there?
Oh yeah, it's
Vegas.
warm here in Arizona.
Yeah, that's right, Vegas.
Yeah, I get cold though in these houses. Like my mom and my aunt sometimes keep it a little cold for me.
The AC, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like AC.
All right.
Thank you.
How's that? You got it? Anything else comes up, raise your hand. You know.
I will.
All right.
Thanks,
I love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
All right, what else we got here? Oh, this one came from my aunt. This is a fun one. Why are they spraying chemtrails like bugs? I think I wrote that wrong. I think she was saying treating us like bugs. Why are they spraying chemtrails treating us like bugs? So, yeah, I guess there's a lot of chemtrails around here. My mom was showing me them, and they spray the sky. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that wherever you are and stuff like that, but yeah, there's a lot of chemtrails here. And why are there chemtrails? Because we made them up. That's why there's chemtrails. And here's the thing, just like anything else, whatever we make up, we're also perpetuating with our energy, okay? We make it up with our subconscious mind. Number one, they can do anything to us, okay? The idea that anyone can do anything to us is going to manifest in a lot of different ways. This is just one way that it's going to manifest. And you know, it's different for different people. Some people feel like the government is doing something else to us. That there's all kinds of different ways. Okay, I have my friend Lori saying I don't believe in chemtrails at all, okay? Yeah, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter. People are experiencing all these different illusions, and they are all illusions. People are experiencing all these different illusions, all these different ways. For some people, it's the laws, you know, however the laws are. For some people, it's fear of, you know, war going on. You know, it could be some people are more focused on GMO food, or, you know, maybe it's all of it for people. But really, these illusions stem. Their source is the idea that anyone can do anything to us without our having authorized it. On a subconscious level, we are authorizing this. And every single time we come up with an energy that says, why is this happening? And we can feel it in our body, we're asking for more of the same. And that's the same thing if we're like, another thing that's been coming up is looking for God to punish them. So if we're looking for them to get any kind of punishment, that is also a projection that never leaves its source. Okay? No projection can leave its source. It's always it always is right back on the source of the projection, which is our own subconscious mind. So if we're looking for a person or people to receive punishment, in that moment we are actually asking for punishment for ourselves. There's no other person. There's no one else. And the more we're asking for anyone to be punished, the more we're going to experience hardship and upset in our lives, in our daily experiences. Things are going to become more prevalent to us, okay? They're going to become more prevalent as far as threats to our bodies. But, you know, the whole ego game is to protect this body because it's going to die, okay? That's the whole game. And let me tell you this, the body actually doesn't have to die. That might be a shock to you, but the body actually doesn't have to die. The body can just be laid aside in completely good health, okay? It does not have to get disease. It does not have to get AIDS. It does not have to die. These are patterns that have been set up in the mind, and they're not personal. So even if you see yourself, if you see your own body aging, if you experience illness, which is kind of like a warm-up for death or anything like that, it's not anything to be taken personal as in what have I done wrong, because remember, everything is for learning. So anything like this that comes up, it's just a reflection of that fear that something is going to get us. The whole thing is to try to protect this body that absolutely is supported by our source and nothing else. Nothing in the world can harm us. So if we're saying, say we see chemtrails, right? And then we experience maybe some allergies or some itchy eyes or something like that. As soon as we say that chemtrail is responsible, that chemtrail is the reason why this is happening, we make ourselves a victim in a big way. In a big way. If we agree with that, remember what I said before, that no harm can come to us. No harm can come to us except through the subconscious mind, and that's only apparent harm. Our spirit really never can be harmed. It's like we're having a nightmare. Okay, it's like we're dreaming, and we're in our dream we're experiencing the effects of our own thoughts. So we're experiencing the effects of our own fears. Okay, and it feels like people can do stuff to us. And you know, there's like when my aunt talks about this, she talks about how kids are getting cancer. You can't plant anything. And I notice the energy that's coming up when this is being talked about. It's like victim after victim after victim after victim, and it seems like it's really true. It seems really, really true. And the thing is, we are powerful enough that we can see through every illusion. And these are illusions. These are only illusions. And if we would be willing to address the feeling sensation that arises when those things come up, this is happening, this bad thing is happening because of this, all this is happening, and instead of focusing on those things and being worried about them, focus on how that feels. Focus on how that feels in the body, and being willing to let our energy be uplifted right now. Drop all names, drop all descriptions, drop anything, any words, chemtrails, anything, because the chemtrails are not causing anything to happen. In fact, the chemtrails aren't happening. In fact, nothing's happening. See, nothing is happening. It's a projection. It's all a projection. Okay, so it takes a lot of courage, and for a lot of people, and I'm sure my aunt, and she's listening right now. I'm sure for my aunt too, this seems like totally off and left field, because it's like how can you say that, because this is real, it's really this, it's really happening, but it's really happening only in the mind, and the mind makes it feel so real, but it's actually not real, and we still have all the power. We have all the power of heaven. In fact, we are heaven, and we have been chosen to bring heaven through us. Okay, so you can say it that way. If you find yourself experiencing a body, you have been chosen. Okay, it's not just a few people. It's not just some of us. It's not just the ones that've been good. It's every single one of us. We can do it. It's just that there's a lot of doubt, and that's why I talk a lot about these emotions when they come up, and they're expressing self-doubt all the time. To just feel them and let the energy be uplifted, and the way will be shown. The way will most certainly be shown. Okay. I lost my people with any hands and stuff like that. I'm gonna look for that again. Where is it? My hand has been up for a while. I'm not seeing your hand, so let me find my dashboard. Oh, that's not it. Attendees. Oh, here we are. Okay. Scott, you've had your hand up for a while. Oh, no, I don't even see your hand, but I'm going to you. Aloha, Scott.
Aloha, Hope.
Yay.
Yay. How are you?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Not very good.
Not very good?
No, I don't have a margarita.
I don't have it anymore. I only had half of it, and I started to not walk straight. I said, okay, that's enough.
Hey, I looked on Facebook too, and I saw your family. I was curious. What do they? I should say. Have you attempted to share with them the kinds of things you share with us, and how was it received?
All the time. There's my mom. You can ask her.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Come over here, Mom. Talk to Scott. Let him know what's going on. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Mom.
Of course she shares with us. You think Hope shuts up for a minute?
Not with that margarita, no.
That's right. I don't think she needs a margarita.
Yeah. So
Just like me, we go back and forth. She's a Leo, I'm a Sagittarius, and we definitely throw things back and forth.
nice. So, Mom, have you had some exposure to A Course in Miracles also?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A few times. Yeah. Everything, I'm a fundamentalist Christian. I don't believe in churches, organized religion, or any of it. And everything she said is very scriptural and in the Bible, but she says it in a different way.
Nice.
I mean, I agree with her. I mean, I could start quoting 1,000 scriptures while she's talking, which everything fits in, like worrying about the chemtrails. Yeah, they're spraying, but you know what? It says in the end time, the Lord said we're going to tread over scorpions. Nothing can hurt us unless it's His will. So why worry about it, right?
Yeah. Nice. How about your other sibs, Hope?
They're all pretty much the same. Yeah, they're open. Yeah, they're pretty open.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's neat that you could share with us right there from your mom's house. I'm glad you're having a good time there.
Yeah, it's actually my aunt's house. My mom's computer wasn't working, so we cruised over here. Couldn't get the camera.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for joining.
My aunt's in here too. She's the one who had the last question.
Oh, hello, Auntie.
Aloha.
All right, so you ready for my question?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right. I have a dear friend, a middle-aged man, who lost his son about 4 years ago to an illness. Son was in his early 20s. It was a completely, they were completely blindsided by the loss, and the father is still struggling intensely today, to even now, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised really if I got a call that he took his own life as a result of this. That's the depth of the pain he is in. Okay. So you were sharing earlier with some of your other guests the kinds of things that you often share, which I thoroughly enjoy. The things, things like time doesn't exist, there is no you, and you even said to one of your first callers, your son is not your son, which made me think of my friend and his loss. And and you also touched on how we suffer by resisting what is, and I can certainly see that coming into play with my friend. He's not accepting his son's loss. He just wants him back. And then you also said earlier, if we're worried about something, we attract more of it. And then we often talk about the words manifestation and projection. And so when I'm around my friend and he's suffering, of course, this body mind, Scott,
Yes.
wants to fix it.
Right.
And I want him not to suffer anymore.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I have empathy and sympathy because I have a son as well, and I try to project what it would be like to have him stripped from me in this life. And so how can I, and you use the word play too. That's, you often say this or that is fun to play with, when most of us would try to run away from it or distance ourselves from it. You play with things.
Yes.
How can I, is it possible for me to help my friend play with what he is seeing as a deeply overwhelming loss and somehow transform that into love?
Okay, so the insight that you need to guide your words and your actions comes from your own relaxation. So when you're experiencing your friend and you feel concern for your friend, I actually experienced this the other night where I just felt all of a sudden concern for one of my siblings, and I noticed that was concern. And then just allow that to be uplifted in my own energy field. And I could totally feel the difference in the energy when I just noticed what it was. Because remember, it's always our own projection. Your experience of him suffering is something that you can empathize with, which, like you said, so that means you can feel it in your own body. And so when it's addressed there, when it's addressed in your own body, it allows you to be light. And whatever words need to come out or anything, it'll just come to you naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's nothing to plan. I mean, for yourself, and you don't have to tell him this. And you'll know if you're addressing the energy in your body, you'll know when it's the right time to say anything. Okay? But for yourself, you can know that there's no death and no one goes anywhere. The illusion of the body not being here is just an illusion. There's that one who seemed to be here before and now seems to be gone never changed position. There's been no changes except on the apparent surface. And it's like, he is me. He's the same. He's the same as me. He hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, if anything, a lot of people who are open to it experience themselves getting closer to those who are no longer projecting through a body. They're able to hear their voices more and more. Okay? And you being aware of that and also addressing the energy sensations in your body is going to open you up so that you'll know the right thing to say and the right actions to take at the right time. It'll just come naturally, right? Remember, I said that everything that we say and everything that we do is actually choiceless. So it's always a matter of addressing that energy field where you're feeling this concern for your friend. You're also empathizing with him because you have a son, so you know there's some fear of an outcome there too as well. And so addressing that in your own energy field first, and then everything else will follow. Okay. Oh, my mom wants to say something about that.
Please.
Maybe she won't agree with me. No, that's okay. Anyways, the main thing is our children are not our own. They belong to the Lord. We all belong to him. Okay? So the child, when the Lord calls them home, all we are is stewards. We're stewards of our children. Before we got here, we walked with the Lord and we talked with him about what we were going to do. And during that time, we cried with him because we saw the trials and everything we went through, because everything in life is just a trial to teach us things. And the kids too. Everybody has to go through their own walks. But you need to explain to him that it's not going to be long before he's there too. But he's not really shouldn't take his own life because he needs to learn from the things he's going through. But once he calms down and realizes that his son's in a place where he left before, and that he's going there too, he'll be able to hear him. He'll be able to talk to him. If he sits quietly, he'll hear his son. All his son wants is to be in communication with him. And like Hope with her dialogue, she's very spiritual and hears from the spirit world. He needs to hear from his son. I hear from everybody gone. I talk to him all the time. the veil is so thin. It's just that we're so wrapped up in this world, which is totally confusion, or not necessarily confusion. It's distraction for all of us. We're distracted so much that we can't get back to the core, which is being in tune with the spiritual world, which is always trying to communicate with him. And that son of his will communicate with him. And I understand deeply, and you have to be very sensitive, because this is his son. He's not going to listen to a lot of things, and I can understand that. If I ever lost my daughter, oh my gosh, it would take me a long time to calm down enough to hear from her. So just encourage him in that. He will hear eventually.
Mm.
Yeah, the thing is no one went anywhere.
Yeah.
There's just an idea that we can't communicate because there's no body. So as long as there's an idea that we can't communicate because there's no body, then we're cutting off our own communication. But actually, we can communicate better if there's a willingness. If there's a willingness to hear. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Hope.
Thank you too, Scott. Aloha.
All right. Aloha.
So I didn't see Scott's hand. If I don't see your hand and you raised your hand, then write in the questions that you raised your hand, and I'll get right over to you. All right. So I have one more question written here. I keep on moving my stuff around now. Here we go. So one more. Let me just verify that I got no hands going. Nope, no hands. All right, no questions, no hands. All right. I'd like to go on a trip with my sister, but I feel guilty for leaving my spouse. I also feel guilty for not spending time with my sister. How can I approach this feeling of guilt in a meaningful way? Okay, so this is one way the ego uses relationships for obligation, which is basically a way to perpetuate guilt. Okay, so when we feel obligated to people, if we ever feel guilty, ever, that's the ego. Doesn't matter what it is. There should be no guilt around making decisions. Okay, if there's ever guilt around making decisions, it's the wrong decision. It doesn't matter what the decision is. If there's ever guilt around it, okay, this idea of I can't leave my spouse. This has been something that's been well in my experience lately, and you know, this thing, you know, people call their spouses a ball and chain and stuff like that. Yeah, because we allow this relational energy to have this fake power over us, you know, as if since I'm in this relationship now and I'm married, now I'm not allowed to do certain things. And it's just really not like that at all. This is just a role we're playing. This is just a role. These things don't even need to come into play. Decisions are made so easily when there's no guilt around it. And you know, and really there's no decisions for us to make. Those decisions are coming up automatically. The only choice we have is love or fear in the moment. Love or fear. So if there's a feeling of guilt, what does love do? Love just goes, it's okay. That's not real. That's not true. It can't be true. It doesn't resonate with love. That doesn't need to come into the equation in any way, shape, or form. Okay? We can just move on inspiration. We can just move on the spirit that's speaking through us. We don't have to try to find out what is the right way to go. Or whose feelings am I going to hurt? Or I feel bad because I might hurt their feelings. You can't hurt anyone's feelings. That's impossible. People can only hurt their own feelings. People can use us to hurt their own feelings. Let's put it that way. But we can't really hurt anyone's feelings, okay, by any kind of choice that we apparently make, any kind of decision that we apparently make. Like say there was no invitation sent to a certain person for a certain party. Let's say something like that, and then they have hurt feelings, and they might come and go, hey, you didn't invite me to that party, and And then if you feel that, which, you know, with empathy, we will feel that. We'll feel, and then we can heal it. Where we can't heal it is where we feel defensive and we believe our defensive. Okay, feeling defensive is okay if it's seen through. But if there's a defense and it's used to try to change the person's mind or tell them that they shouldn't feel the way they feel because they're wrong or anything like that, then we're just promoting it. We just keep the same kind of energy going. But, you know, like in my case, if someone came up and said, you didn't even invite me to that party, and it's like, you know, it might be like, oh no, I didn't, and then just waiting to see what kind of what they feel about it. They might tell me how they feel about it, and then I might be like, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. You know, it's not like we have these obligations to people, and it's not like we even really decide in the first place. No, it's a little different if you're saying, you know, you're saying to yourself, you know, that person, they said something mean to me before, so to get back at them, I'm not going to invite them to the party. Now that's a real different energy, right? And then just, you know, that just doesn't really fit into the program, or these are the people that fit into this particular program or whatever, you know. So it's just a matter of really feeling where we're at. What is the intention? Basically, we have no intention, but there's always an intention. And if we're aware of the intention, then we're aware of what our energy is being used for, whether it's being used for love or fear. And when it's, and you know, it has to be either one. Our energy, it has to be either used for love or fear. And it's like neutrality is love. We're trying to get something or trying to push things away. That's both fear. And neutrality is love. Okay? So if anyone wants to elaborate on that, please let me know. I have another question right here. Just came in. In reference to the previous question about communicating with someone beyond the veil, isn't it that there are no separate individuals ultimately, as in your son is not your son? Who is there to communicate with? Well, all of it is communication. In this world of illusion, all there is communication. That's love. The true communication is love, actually. So when there's willingness to open up, especially when someone's, let's say, behind the veil, and you could say it's a piece of ourselves, like that, okay? Because there's not really anything separate. It's all still the mind playing out. Remember what I said. There is no death, okay? Heaven doesn't come after death, and neither does hell, all right? Because death is nothing but another illusion. It'll lead to life again. It'll lead, illusory life, let's say material life. It'll lead to material life again until the truth is seen completely through. That means our energy field is purified. That when this energy body, when the material body dies and the energy field is still all full of delusions, it has to come back again because it needs to learn still. The learning isn't complete. The learning is not complete. So this cycle of birth and death can go on forever. And the only way that it's going to break the cycle, so to speak, which is basically what Jesus did, okay? He broke the cycle. It might be that he was the first one to break the cycle of birth and death, okay? So that's why, you know, and you know, if you take this as just a story and you don't believe it, that's okay too. It doesn't really matter because nothing happens anyways, okay? We are Jesus. Jesus is us. There's no difference, okay? But the story's wonderful because he's crucified, which isn't nearly as important as his resurrection. The resurrection shows that his mind was healed, okay? If the resurrection shows that the mind was healed, and that's the bottom line, and that's what's available, and that's what is available to everyone, okay? And everyone, the promise is that everyone will experience that, and that no one will be left behind. And look at this. If anyone is left behind in your mind, you are experiencing being left behind right now, okay? So basically, purifying the mind is forgiveness of every person, place, and thing, okay? Everything that it comes up. And forgiveness needs to be applied to anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, even a little bit uncomfortable. All right? Yeah, communicating with someone behind the veil is exactly the same as communicating with another person. It's still ourselves. It's still ourselves. And love is communication. Most of what is done right now in the material world at this point in time is not communication at all. It's not even communication. It's conflict. Okay? Because we're taking ourselves to be separate individuals. And we're taking our, and so then there's a fear, oh my God, I love them so much, I'm afraid of losing them. Let me tell you, that is not love. That is fear disguised as love. If there is any fear of losing a person, that's not love. And the same goes, and the same goes for missing a person. You know, people ask me a lot when I'm away from my family, do you miss your family? And I'm like, I don't miss. I don't play with that energy like that. If a sensation of missing comes up, it's the same thing where it's approached as an energetic pattern, because there's no place. No one's not here. You know, it's just the movie changes, the movie looks different, whatever it is that's playing on the screen. But all of that is okay. Okay? Yulia saying, it's fun. To your mom, everything you talk about is scripture. To me, it's Buddhism. Yeah. Yeah, I was having that conversation with my mom earlier today. I was saying, you know, every single tradition is saying the exact same thing. And if we get dogmatic about it, if we think that ours is the path, then, you know, of course, other people are on the wrong path in our mind, right? And if anyone's on the wrong path in our mind, we suffer. Okay? The only place anyone can be on the wrong path is in our own mind. They can't actually be on the wrong path. So Buddhism, you know, even the Quran, if you look past the egoistic view of it, you know, those who have eyes to see will see. And that's in everything. Okay? Thank you, Yulia. I appreciate that input. And my mom's super happy that you appreciated her, too. All right. So I'm at the end of all my written questions now. If anyone would like to talk with me, oh, I got a hand. Yay, I like hands. I'm not going to talk to the hand. I'm going to talk to Lori. Yay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, you were just talking about the love thing.
Yeah.
I had this exact discussion with my husband tonight on the walk. He's totally threatened because it gets him so angry when he thinks that if he dies, I'm just going to go off. It's not going to be like anything was ever happened. I said, attachment isn't love. That's not what love is. When you're afraid of losing something, that's not love. That's holding on to. That's grasping something that's not even real, really. I said that love is what we are. I cannot, that is a big thing between us. So is it mine?
Well, yeah, here it is when it comes up, especially with your husband or something like this, and I get this too. You know, it's not so necessary to bring it up even unless he feels calm. As soon as you feel his energy getting you know,
yes.
like jagged, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, as soon as you sense that, you know you're in a situation where now you're sort of debating, and it's not communication can't happen like that. So that's the time where I might just be quiet and love him up, you know. Because he might not understand where you're coming from, and the other thing is he doesn't want you to be sad. He doesn't. You know, it's just that he wants this relationship to be meaningful, and you can assure him that this is very meaningful. That what we share together is so meaningful, and all this love that we share together is so meaningful and so wonderful that that I don't need to cry for it when it's over. you know, maybe I will and maybe I won't, but, you know, how will that show that there's love in the first place?
Yeah.
So just
Beautiful.
assure him how meaningful this relationship is. And really, what makes a relationship meaningful is love. It's that clear communication.
Mm. Well, the meaningful meaning comes from the mind.
Sure, and also it's through the mind that healing happens. Okay, so it's like, let me put it this way to you. There's made up meanings for all the things that happen in the world, and that's really meaningless. Okay.
Yep.
When we're looking at awakening, when we're looking at returning to the happy dream or returning to heaven, as it said, these relationships are very meaningful. Okay, because that's where we have an opportunity to communicate instead of project. It's meaningless to project onto each other. That makes the relationship meaningless. Okay, and anything that we give meaning to in the world is really meaningless. But these relationships, when they're not really between bodies, we're not seeing each other as bodies. Even if it's just one of us not seeing the other as a body, that relationship becomes meaningful. Okay?
Wow, I've never heard it that way before.
Neither have I. All right?
Beautiful. Got it.
Who knows what's going to come up?
True. That's the best part of this. You just don't know. And the thing is, and it's so in the moment when you say things that when somebody says, can you repeat that? It's like, oh my God, what did I say? I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, this thing needs a rewind on it. So I'll go to your webinar, tell me the rewind function.
Did you post the last week's, not last week's, the one that the week before, did you?
You know what, I may have not been too diligent about posting them to Facebook, but they're all up on YouTube.
Oh, it is on YouTube. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. I missed that one. Okay.
Thank you, Lori. I love you.
All right,
I have so
thank
much
you.
fun with you. Thanks for talking with me.
Ditto. Bye.
Okay, aloha. Julia's hand. Aloha, Julia.
Aloha again. That last exchange was really fun, but just kind of jumping there at the last minute because I'm thinking about what you were saying earlier. You were saying that this pattern I have with my children is it's my own pattern from childhood.
Yes.
What exactly could that be? Like pressure that I've experienced?
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't go on hunts like that. You know, it's a feeling that's been well practiced. See, when it's first discovered, this fear thing, this feeling like we're trapped or whatever it is, when it's first discovered, it's like such a shock to the nervous system because, you know, we feel so innocent. We feel like everything is perfect, and then all of a sudden something arises to show us that things are messed up and we're trapped or something to that effect. A lot of the times it's this trapped feeling. And once we take that as true, it becomes almost part of us. It does become part of our energy field for the lifetime. And so if we're willing to see that and not keep on projecting out onto the world for creating this feeling in us, then we can work it out. We just really have to purify our own energy field. Okay.
How do you do that?
Well, I've pointed to it before. I mean, it really comes down to an in-the-moment experience, okay? That's where you feel like you're going to bust out. You feel like you're going to blow up or whatever, and there's just a willingness to stay with the feeling. And this could be practiced. And, you know, what I really encourage people to do is practice it as often as possible on little tiny sensations of discomfort. Every little sensation of discomfort. I'll notice, I'll just be watching how people are when they talk and stuff like that. And, they'll be talking about things and I'll notice, oh, that's disgust. I could sense it. They're feeling disgusted right now, or they're feeling fearful right now. And, I could see that. If we can learn to see that in ourselves when it's coming out, that's how it gets purified. The thing is, we got blinders on because we're believing our thoughts instead of looking at what's going on in our own energy sensation. One thing that I do is pay attention to my facial expressions. I can feel how my face is going. I might notice that there's a frown on my face, and or maybe my brow is furrowed, and then just pay attention. It's really about attention in the moment.
Yeah, it's not even the moment when you blow up. What if there's like this low-grade fear and anxiety that's pretty much there so much, and it's so pointless and reasonless, and it's been there so long, and it's like you really did have it in childhood and you don't even know where it began. It just
that low-grade
compounded, I guess, maybe, when you under certain circumstances, and it's just I don't even know what to do with it. Sometimes it's you sit with it and you sit with it, and but there's like it goes away spontaneously sometimes, or activity gets rid of it.
Well, yeah, and that's
won't go away.
Yeah, that's a device of the mind to use activity. I've heard some spiritual teachers calling that occupation. You try to occupy the mind, to shut it up. A lot of people watch TV all day, or they have to go to sleep with TV on, and it's all because they don't want to face their own consciousness. And that's the thing, there's this fear of facing our own consciousness. And if we just feel a little bit uncomfortable and go look for something else to do rather than address our discomfort, and things can be done. It's not like you even have to stop. Things can be done. It's just a matter of not using occupation to avoid the feeling. Okay.
Mhm.
And I like to encourage people to address those low grade feelings, because the more we're practiced on that, the more natural it becomes. When it's like a huge jolt, the more natural it becomes to stay with it, because there's been this practicing. And it does take some devotion, like when I wake up in the morning, it's like there's a sense of, okay, it's almost like there's a little bit of carefulness in a way. There's a little bit of carefulness to be alert. There's almost this careful sensation, is to be alert. And, if I go unalert, that's okay still. But still, there's this, okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's going on in the energy field. Looking at what I say and how I say it, what kind of vibration is coming out. We can feel what's going on even in our voice. It vibrates in our body. Our own voice vibrates in our body. We can sense the different tempos. We can sense when we get stressed, worried, fearful, disgusted, anything like that. We can sense it in our body, especially by our words.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Yeah, you could also go look in the mirror. When you feel like you really want to lash out, when you feel like you're really trapped, you can go look in the mirror.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about waking up with the low-grade fear and anxiety, or just discomfort, in the morning.
Yeah.
That's actually worse. The lashing out is rare, fortunately.
Well, yeah, and the lashing out to the ego is a release too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a volcano that just erupted.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's time for me to go, everyone. I love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who comes on, whether or not you come on and ask questions, whether or not you share. Everyone who just watches later, too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you so much. And we'll see you soon next week. Same place, same time. Only I'll be in Hawaii. Hooray. Aloha.